what's up? My name is Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor, and there's no one that's doing as many property deals that I'm doing who's putting out as much content on YouTube for free as I am doing. So I decided on this video to do a Q&A session where you can literally ask me anything. Anything you want about business, property, anything personal, it doesn't matter. Comment your question below and I am going to be answering your question on my next Q&A video on Sunday at 7 p.m. So comment below right now and I'm going to be answering some questions from last week. And while I'm answering some questions, maybe I'm answering a question and you get an offshoot of a question, in which case, just comment your question below. The more questions, the better, because it gives me more content next week. So I'm gonna look at what we've had last week, get commenting right now. Also, don't forget, do me a massive favor, subscribe to the channel and just turn on the notification bell. Otherwise, I might answer your question, but you never knew I answered it. What a shame that would be, what a pity. So turn on the notification bell, subscribe, and also do me a favor, if you appreciate the content that I keep putting out, smash the like button, that would be amazing. Go and hit like. So what we got? So we've got SM says, I've heard surveyors for lenders are not coming out to see properties and only do basic desktop valuations due to the pandemic. I'm concerned that this will lead to an undervaluation of my BRR project. Please could you advise? P.S. You're awesome. Thank you so much, SM. So I don't know where you've heard that from, but that's not really entirely true. So valuers are going out to the properties and they are valuing them like all the time. I've had several valuations on some of my properties in the last few weeks. So they are. They might be doing desktop valuations if they don't deem it necessary to view the property. So for instance, if it was a remortgage on a property and they know the value, they don't need to go and see it. Nothing's majorly changed or anything. Then they might just say, we don't need to come out. This is the new value. And they'll tell you the value. And there might be some lenders that are doing that more so than other lenders. But lenders are still valuing. So I wouldn't worry about getting down value. Just speak to a good mortgage advisor and just say, hey, look, here's what I'm doing. But lenders, I can confirm, are going to properties and are valuing them. And I confirm that based on my experience of it happening just the last few weeks. Hope that helps. SS says, as it is difficult and time consuming to find below market value deals in which you would adopt the BRR strategy, is it possible to successfully implement BRR when buying at market value and driving value up? Or is this too risky, i.e. chances of pulling most of your money out are low? If you can still do it, what work would you do to an average house to drive up the value when brought at market value? Okay, SS, so first things first. You're buying a property that you want to do as a BRR, BRR meaning buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. You're going to want to buy that house as cheap as possible. You're going to want to get it really cheap. Now, in terms of market value, it doesn't matter too much about what matters more than anything is what the refurb cost is going to be and what the end value is going to be. You know, you want to get it as cheap as you can when you buy it. So you need to be finding properties that have got problems with them. So you're asking me, does it need to be below market value? Well, technically it doesn't. It might be the market value. I bought a property last year, which was a property with some terrible tenants. The tenants couldn't get evicted. No one wanted the property. It was a bit shabby. The tenants were smoking in there and they weren't leaving the property. Now, I knew that I would be able to solve that problem. I just knew I would because I've got a lot of experience with dealing with people and dealing with tenants. And I thought, you know what? I've got the right legal team, and not only legal team, I've also, I know, for instance, I know that you can bribe tenants out of a property. If it's a tenant in a property that's not paying any rent and they've been a pain, like if you give them £1,000, look, man, I'll give you £1,000, just clear it. They'll usually go. Okay, so, but that property, because of the bad tenants and the smoking and the refusing to move, that no one wanted to buy it. The seller was really motivated to sell it. Oh my gosh. If the tenant wasn't in there and it was in decent condition, it might be worth £180,000. But as it happens, they were selling it, they were prepared to sell it for 125 grand. Now, it only needed about 10 grand spending on it, but because of the tenant and now what was the current true market value? Well, ultimately, a house is only worth what someone's prepared to pay for it. No one was prepared to pay anywhere near 180 for it because of the situation and the circumstances. I bought it for 122, spent about 11 grand doing it up, about 1,500 quid sorting out the tenants and getting rid of them, and then pushed the value up to about 185. Good deal? Yes! In the Midlands. Great deal. So you just need to think, how can I find a property that's got a problem? And then how much is it going to cost me to fix that problem? And how much value is it going to add to the property? And every time you spend £1, you need to be adding £3 worth of value. So I hope that helps. Keep up the good work, my friend. And let me know how you get on. Muzaffar Ali. I want to get into rent-to-rent HMOs but have very little money. Is it possible to get a property that's already fully furnished by a landlord so I don't have to fork out much money and I can just start earning money from day one? I realise that the rent might be a little bit higher to compensate for this additional help from the landlord. Great videos, by the way. Yeah, you can do that, 100%. The only thing I'll say is if you've got no money and you're skint and you haven't even got the money to get furniture, don't forget, when you take on a rent-to-rent, you're committing to pay the landlord a fixed certain amount each month. So you better be damn sure that you can fill the house up and then you've got enough money to not only pay the landlord, but also to have some money for yourself. Yeah, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. An agreement with a landlord on a rent-to-rent is a blank piece of paper. You can arrange whatever agreement you want. Geez, you could tell the landlord that you also want him to come around your house every Sunday and run around the house. I mean, you can say whatever you want in the contract. So if you say you want the landlord to put the furniture in, yeah, you can say that. Question is, will they agree? That's another story. That depends on your skills and how persuasive you can be with your offer and how you can emphasize and communicate and articulate how much value you're bringing. And whether you can find a landlord that's got a bit of pain. You know, it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this house anymore. You need to be able to know how to do that, but 100% you can do it. Caramel Pappy. Will Samuel Leeds make a group to go and hunt down the Samuel Leeds haters? Oh, goodness. And Tyrone Saxton responded, I'll happily take the lead. I have no intentions. I can confirm I have no intentions of setting up a group that hunts down the Samuel Leeds haters. No, not at all. If you want to hunt them down, you be my guest. I have no intention. All right, Russell Petrie. How on earth do you make someone financially free in a week when solicitors take 4 months usually and still waiting after buying and selling a property in one day? Even the estate agents are wondering why taking so long. Okay, Russell, thank you for your question. So it sounds to me like two things going on. Number one, you're frustrated with how long your properties are taking to complete. Number two, you're asking me, how can I make someone financially free in a week? You know, it takes ages to complete on a house. So I'm going to answer your question in two parts. Firstly, I'm going to answer your question in terms of you having a problem with getting this property to go over the line. It is normal to take 4 months. It does take time. Everything takes a long time in property. Everything does. I've had properties that have taken a year to complete. I've had my offer accepted. It's been 12 months later before I've completed. So it is annoying. It can be quick. It can happen in a few weeks. It can be a few months. In some cases can be more than that. So I would just say you need to be really patient and have multiple deals going on at the same time. If you've just got one deal and you're waiting and you're looking and it's not going through, you get frustrated. If you've got 6 or 7 deals, this one goes through, oh good, and this one, and you don't worry about this one that's taking a while. So, you know, fill your pipeline and be patient and make sure you've got good solicitors as well. But even good solicitors, sometimes it just takes time. In terms of how do I make someone financially free in a week, the deals that we're getting on these financial freedom challenges, if we're buying a property, that's never going to happen in a week. The financial freedom part is, and really the financial freedom challenge is, listen, the reality is that after a week, it's not like, oh, they're financially free, they can lie on a beach forever. No. What it is they're set up in their property journey for financial freedom, meaning they've got multiple properties giving them an income. And rent-to-rents, I mean, you can get the keys in a day with a rent-to-rent. Some of the financial freedom challenges that we've done, we've looked at a property, we've viewed it, and then within 48 hours, call it, within 48 hours, we've had the keys. And then within another few days, we've had tenants in there. It can happen very, very quick because you're not buying the property, you're controlling it. And the difference is you're using a templated agreement. You're using a rent-to-rent contract rather than having to actually buy a property and do searches and surveys and valuations and get your mortgage lender. That's what takes time. Financial Freedom Challenge, we're doing like rent-to-rent, deal sourcing, getting quick money, quick deals, quick. That's what we're doing, but building the foundation ready for then the person that does it to go and start building their empire, which will be slower. You know, you don't get rich quick. You don't get wealthy quick. What you can do is you can get results quick. Okay, Gonzala. I'm 19 and go to uni in Oxford. I was thinking of doing rent-to-serviced accommodation. However, with all this going on right now, I'm not sure it's the best time to start. I might wait until after summer or even 2022. My question is, should I go with rent-to-serviced accommodation or switch to another strategy such as buy-to-let? My dad is willing to fund the investment. Maybe I could move into one room. Would I need a special license contract? Okay, Gonzalo, you're in a great position. You're young, you're 19, your dad's prepared to fund you on the first investment. You need to get educated, my friend. You need to come down to the Property Investors Crash Course because honestly, if I were you, your dad's offered to invest in your business, which is great, but you need to now prove yourself and you need to become investable. You know, invest in yourself and then more people will want to invest in you. In terms of rent-to-serviced accommodation and buy-to-let, you need to know what you're doing. You need to put a game plan together. I mean, rent-to-serviced accommodation, you think it's a terrible time. I think it's a fabulous time for many, many reasons. Number one, because landlords are really motivated because of the tenant eviction bans. You're doing rent-to-serviced accommodation, there is no tenants. Tenant eviction ban doesn't exist. Because you are paying the landlord, but you have a business-to-business relationship. So you don't have rights as a tenant, so the landlord likes that. But then you are renting the property out as serviced accommodation, which is not tenants, they're guests. So they have no rights. And if you can buy in the right area, not buy, but if you can control a property in the right area, serviced accommodation is very profitable right now. And as lockdown eases off, it's going to get more and more profitable. So now is a friggin' brilliant time. If you know what you're doing, but you need to become investable and get smart. On the house, brother. Gonzalo, on the house. Free, on me. Come and spend 12 hours with me. At the Property Investors Crash Course, it's free. I'll leave a link in the description. Get booked on. There's a £1 booking fee, just to check you're a real person. But get down to that. Okay, Lucifer says, hi Samuel, I'm struggling to get a mortgage due to my work as my seasonal and travel a lot. I want to buy my parents' house and when they decide to move, I have an idea of a way to buy it but not sure if it's legal or even doable. Any advice would be muchly appreciated. My parents would gift me the house, 230 grand with no mortgage. After 6 months I'll apply for buy-to-let mortgage against the house which would give me the cash to gift to my parents and then I could rent out the house to pay the mortgage. If my research is correct, they wouldn't need to pay capital gains tax when gifting their residence. I think, you know what? I think that's not as easy as you think. Because if they've got a property, they can't just, you can't gift someone a house like that. You can't just say, oh, I've got a house with no mortgage. There you go, you can have it. You can't do that, unfortunately. You will have to pay capital gains tax. You're also going to have to pay stamp duty, tax. It's the tax implications which could potentially hurt you. I know this because I've got a lot of properties in my personal name. A lot of them I haven't even got mortgages on them. Okay, because before I got retrained in 2018, I paid off loads of mortgages. Yeah, sure, I've refinanced a few now. But when the tax changes hit, I was thinking 2017, I'm like, is there going to be a reverse? Is Section 24 really going to happen? And when it really did happen, you know, around about 2019, I was like, man, 2019, 2020, I'm like, man, I need to move my houses over to a company, to my company. I'll gift my houses to my company, but I couldn't do it. It wasn't happening. It was so unviable, it didn't make sense for me to do it. So I just kept them all in my personal name. And I think you need to go and speak to an accountant on this and just work out exactly what the best plan is to do. You know, I'm not saying don't do anything, I'm just saying it might not be as straightforward as you think. But I wish you all the best, Lucifer. All right, Glam Azone. Is it worth buying a property with a 66-year lease remaining? Say purchase price is 80 grand and potential rent income £600 a month. I wouldn't buy it with a 66-year lease, no. Because if it's a leasehold property, it needs to outlive me, and I don't think 66 years is going to outlive me. Maybe it will. We'll find out. But listen, if it's got a 66-year lease, that means you don't own the land, you just own the property. But when the lease runs out, what are you going to do? If you've got a piece of land that you don't own and you're leasing it, when that lease runs out, the property's not worth anything, potentially. So even if it's an 80 grand house and the rent is £600 a month, geez, you can find better deals. I don't know the property, so I'll have to look at the property, but I'd be careful. All right, last question, okay? By the way, please do comment your questions below right now, and I'll answer them next week. Craig Stone. Hi, Samuel. I have 2 buy-to-let and 2 rent-to-HMOs. 1 refurbished and ready. The other should be ready at the end of the month. Hey, Craig, well done, my friend. Good job. My question is it a good thing to outsource the tenant find and tenant management within Rent2HMO? The numbers still work, but I'm not sure if this is a thing with Rent2rent. I can then focus on the bits I enjoy, like getting the property ready, etc. What do you think? I've enjoyed the management side. I've never enjoyed the management side, sorry. If you do think it's a good idea, any recommendations for HMO managers in Liverpool? My strategy is to build the Rent2rent business to enough cash flow and then buy properties. I also work 2 jobs at the same time. Thanks. Greg, 100%. I would outsource the management side of things. Like any business, you shouldn't be managing the properties. You've done it a bit. You've got some experience. If it makes sense, even if it's a rent-to-rent, you don't need to do it yourself. Even if it is a rent-to-rent, you can make anything passive. I've got students that have deal sourcing companies that package and sell deals. It's passive because they have members of staff doing it. So in Liverpool, any HMO management companies I recommend? Yep, I would recommend. I think they're called Now Rooms. Now Rooms in Liverpool. A guy called Brett runs it. Great company, great people. I like them a lot. So I could recommend them. Give them a call. Guys, thank you so much. My name's Samuel Leeds. I hope you found this video helpful. Comment below, smash the like button, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.